life here on Earth is as coincidental as a snowflake on Pluto. And if you can't accept that, then, you know, maybe you can't accept that we're spawned from evolution and not some superior being.
That doesn't escape the fact, sir, that the universe has a beginning. Everything that has a beginning has a cause.
But I don't understand how that's
we don't know the universe is a beginning.
The Big Bang points us to the fact
That does not mean it has a beginning.
But it's a theory. There's other theories out there about the universe.
it's the most commonly accepted theory of
That doesn't mean it's
astronomers.
correct.
But why?
I know, but you're asking me for evidence. And I'm telling you, as I observe reality, as I look at the evidence is at this point it could change tomorrow. But the evidence at this point is the Big Bang occurred about 15 billion years ago. And there is a beginning to this universe. Well, like it or not, guys, just look at reality around you that you can observe. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. If there's a Big Bang from the other side of this building, and you say what to me, you ask me, hey Cliff, what happened? And I say, oh, nothing. That's ridiculous. Something caused the bang on the other side of this building. You don't have something that has a beginning without a cause.
The fact that we
That's
don't
what the
have
Big Bang
a
is.
scientific explanation for the cause doesn't mean we want to explain it in the future.
Entity have to make it happen.
I mean, look at things like rain. You know, when rain wasn't explained, we had gods to explain rain.
And then that was disproven later.
Your
I'm
gods
not
of the gaps are
postulating a god of the gaps.
really
That's
weak.
not the point.
Could you briefly explain how, like, just because it obviously it has a beginning, if it has a cause, but why does that make it invalid? Why does that just take the validity away from the theory? What does that have to do with the whole theory in general? It has a cause, yes. No one's debating that. The Big Bang is what caused the universe.
Right. All right. Because the universe is not eternal,
Okay.
Albert Einstein began to realize
We don't know.
there are consequences. One of the consequences that Einstein realized was pantheism is not true. Einstein was into pantheism, the idea that nature is God. You see, the guy who really pushed the Big Bang, who really discovered it, Arno Penzias, when he discovered the background noise. Penzias understood, as a result of the Big Bang, this is theism coming right at us out of science. And Penzias understood God exists. Because the universe does have a beginning, you have to ask, what is the most plausible, the most reasonable explanation for what caused the Big Bang?
Two particles.
So why does God have the authority?
Well, the guy who discovered the Big Bang said no.
Radical
Because you
expansion of
can't answer
gas. And
where did God come from with the answer God. So
Arno Penzias and Albert Einstein realized there's got to be a creator. There's got to be an intelligent mind. Why? Because when that Big Bang occurred, if the expansion would have been a little bit faster, or if it had been 1% faster
yeah.
or 2% slower,
here
we
today.
wouldn't be here.
That's what makes it so miraculous. That's
But
why
we
it's
are
so
here.
special.
Good. And here's the simple thing
But I don't
rationally.
think that gives validity.
If it's
to
a
the creator.
miracle, you got to have a miracle maker. If it's a miracle,
I use the
you got to have a
term
miracle
miraculous.
maker.
I don't think you're using the Big Bang Theory correctly, because doesn't the Big Bang Theory say that the universe, the energy in the universe is infinite and it expands and contracts on itself an infinite number of times?
No.
Is that not the Big Bang
No,
Theory?
the oscillating universe theory is not part of the Big Bang.
Okay.
Carl Sagan bought into the oscillating universe theory, but he didn't have any evidence to support it.
There's no evidence to support the Big Bang Theory.
There's no evidence to support the Big Bang theory.
Background
Why don't you go tell that to your astronomy department?
Okay.
All right. Now, the question then becomes for me, in light of the fact that the evidence points to some type of God existing, who is this God? That's where Muhammad, the avatars of Hinduism, Jesus Christ, Shirley MacLaine enter the picture. They all claim to be revealing God accurately, but they contradict each other. So they're either all wrong or one of them is right. But they're not all right because they contradict each other. Now, that's why I plead with you guys, read the Quran. Ask yourself, does the evidence point to Muhammad being a reliable source of information about God? But also read the New Testament Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And ask yourself, does the historical evidence of the way he lived, taught, died, and rose from the dead point to Jesus Christ being a reliable source of information about God? You decide for yourself.
I have.
And what's been your decision?
I'm a self-professed atheist, I guess. More
Okay.
somewhat agnostic, I guess. I wouldn't be disappointed if there were a God. Of course, nobody would.
I would be.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be.
Okay, now wait a second.
Korea.
Wait, what I've heard you say, wait a second, am I correct in understanding the reason that you're an atheist is because the evidence is lacking for God's existence?
Correct. In my mind.
Right. Okay, so now, what are you living for? And what is the evidence that whatever it is you're living for is reliable?
Well, I'm living for this, like, I guess we talk about Darwin, the survival of the species. I guess to procreate would be the short answer.
You're living to procreate.
Yes.
Okay, now what's the evidence that the purpose of human existence is to procreate?
Lots.
Your Bible.
You're assuming that
It's the same of any other species.
No, he has a faith. And his faith statement is crystal clear.
It is not faith.
Absolutely his faith.
It's absolutely
He
not
has a
faith.
worldview that says the reason I'm here is to procreate.
No, that's
Yes, that's a faith statement.
I agree with.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for thinking with me.
That makes sense.
You can understand how frustrating
I
it gets
have
for me
faith in science.
dealing with some people who don't want to think.
I make sense.
Good. All right. You got faith, right?
In science.
In science, exactly.
Whatever you take faith in, you have to. I mean, it only
But,
makes sense.
but it's not
if you have
faith though, because faith is belief without evidence. There's evidence
It's still
for
faith,
science.
though.
Still faith.
No,
in
it's
science.
not faith. No, it's not. It's
Faith
not
in
faith in
science is
science.
not
Because
definitely not
science
logic.
is justifiable.
By the Webster's definition of faith, you may not claim that it is, but really, I personally agree with that. I do have a faith in science.
Thank you for your honesty.
I have a question though.
Okay, well, let me finish with him and then I'll get to you, man. All right, my point is though now, what I want you to do is tonight, could you go back and remember this dialogue, this part of it? I asked you why you can't believe in God. And you said because of lack of evidence. Okay, I have to respect that. But then I've asked you, what are you living for? And what is the evidence that what you are living for is true? Now what I asked you to do is compare the evidence for the existence of God with the evidence that the purpose of human existence is to procreate.
They're the same. Kind of. In the sense that your logic is not infallible, nor is mine. And you can't, like you said earlier, you can't prove that God exists. And I to this point in time, I can't prove that my only job is to procreate.
You bet.
And I mean, the two will never go hand in hand. And you're welcome. I mean, everybody's welcome to believe what they will. Obviously, I never
We
want
respect
to
anybody's right to believe anyone
tread on anyone's
All right.
opinion. But I mean, I guess it's kind of the same way that I could turn the question on you and ask you the same thing, and you profess that you can't prove that God exists.
Yes.
No, right, but I say that here's the evidence.
True, I guess, yeah. that's-
Right? Now, I have no problem with you saying, I'm sorry, Cliff, it's not enough evidence. My problem is the following. You've communicated to me, Cliff, the reason I can't believe is because lack of evidence. So now what I want to hear from you is this overwhelming evidence that indeed the purpose of life is to procreate. Because if you can't produce that evidence, then you know what I've got to conclude about you, right?
I'm ignorant, I suppose.
Well, you got an incredible double standard, right?
That's true.
Incredible double standard. In fact, you're guilty of intellectual hypocrisy. Because what you're saying to me is, Cliff, the reason I can't believe that God exists is because of lack of evidence. But then, what I'm living for right now has nowhere near the evidence. But I'm choosing to anyway.
Because he hasn't thought out his argument as well as you have, doesn't mean he's wrong.
Yeah, there is evidence.
I am aware of that. But I hope you realize the potential here for some incredible intellectual hypocrisy when a person says to you, all right, let's say I say to you, why do you believe what you do? And you give me evidence. And I say, well, it's not enough. Then I think you have every right to look me in the face and say, okay, fine. Then as a fellow searcher after truth, what are you living for? And what's all this preponderance of evidence that convinces you that whatever it is you're living for is true? Right? It's just being fair, right?
Of course, it's only
All right.